Afternoon, good morning, Facebook. This is Lynda and Stephen with Just Do It, and we are just doing it. I've been trying to get the show underway. All right, okay. We've been trying to get the show underway, and we're actually here, and we're going to just do it. But today we have a guest with us, and now that everything's working, I'd like to introduce 3, 2, 1. Vincent Burkardt. Hello, Vincent.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you perfectly. We could see and hear you before, but because you couldn't hear us, we were trying to use sign language and everything.
Which is a problem. I don't know sign language, so I was probably saying the wrong thing.
How you doing, Lynda? It's a pleasure to see and hear you. I've been doing a little research on you. You're doing some really incredible things.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to meet you, too.
Yeah. And I want to preface by saying that there's an interesting reason why I wasn't hearing you, because since the last time I live streamed, I think it was with Stephen, I've been doing some audio recording of music, and I had my headphones plugged in through a musical interface, and I hadn't realized that. So that's why I couldn't hear you. So when Stephen said to unplug your headset, I was like, this light bulb went off, and I was like, that's what it is.
Yay.
Brilliant.
Perseverance, right? We will we'll persevere because we've tried to figure it out. Troubleshooting and just making sure that we can do what it is that we're going to do, right? Just do it.
That's right.
Just do it. And welcome to Deidre. Nice to see you, Deidre. Thank you for joining us. Now, Vincent, what's happened since we last talked? Because it's been a while ago.
It's been quite a while, yeah. And I just want to ask, this is the first time you guys have done a live show together? Is that right? Or no?
We've been together since, we're losing count.
Couple months?
Yeah. We do the show regularly.
So I've been working on some music and some art, and that's kind of what I've been working on, kind of trying to stay creative and stay in the tech loop. And it's nice to be back on Be Live. It has been quite a while.
Welcome back.
Indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I noticed, because I did my research as well, could you tell us a little bit about Mosaic?
Mosaic is, their tagline is a life of possibilities for individuals with disabilities. So we're in Northern Colorado, and I'm a host home provider through Mosaic. So I have two gentlemen who have some mild to moderate intellectual disabilities, and I provide a nice home, and I help them out to make their life as productive as possible. So I've been doing that solo for about 3 months. And prior to that, I was a live-in home respite person for the provider who then retired, so I took over. So it's quite a good situation, actually. That's
fantastic. I love how you're doing that. You're giving back in a really important way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it kind of ties in the live streaming thing, because the sense of it all starts with you and how you approach a situation, and kind of being in a space where you're creating an environment for people to be themselves and to be productive as well. So it's kind of a nice link that way, I'm seeing.
Well, let me ask you a question. How has your life changed in the last couple of months since you've been doing this work?
I think it helps me see the power of an individual to affect other people's lives, and I think it has helped me see that it's kind of a natural state to want to give, because you definitely get back a lot when you're a giver. So I want to, and also it's opened up some time for me to kind of explore, because they're at a day program right now. They were picked up, and they get back at about 3:30. So I have time. There's a certain amount of things that I need to do for my job with them, but I pretty much have done it already. So it's helping me explore, like, what do I really want to do with this time that I have? So that's been very valuable. And I don't think there's a whole lot of people in my situation that have, or as an adult, that have the time to maybe explore those things. So it's been kind of fun.
So what kind of things are you exploring?
I'm learning audio recording. I'm learning some instruments. I'm teaching myself some instruments, and I'm also doing some painting. That's actually a recent painting that I finished.
Oh, cool.
So it's acrylic. So it's really fun. Colorado has a lot of pretty incredible places out here. So these are some examples that I'm doing of what Colorado has out here. But yeah, I'm teaching myself trombone and clarinet, and I just bought a mountain dulcimer, which is an instrument that Joni Mitchell played, if you're familiar with the Blue album.
Mm-hmm.
I play harmonica pretty well, and I'm learning how to create songs slowly through Lynda.com, which is actually spelled the same way that your name is spelled.
The same way, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No relation. A bummer.
Of course, that's the thing. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Steven.
No, that's the thing that you have in common: the interest in music.
Yes, yeah. I started playing. Well, I started playing flute when I was in second grade, and I played flute for 10 years, and until I graduated high school. And it's interesting as I look back and like, why didn't I continue on? Well, here's why I didn't continue on. It's a silly reason, okay? But sometimes our silly reasons that's our reason. Well, my sister, who's 8 years older than me, is also a flautist, flutist, whatever they call it, and she was very accomplished. She played in the San Francisco Symphony, and so she was very, very good. And so when I finished 12th grade, I said, I can't compete with her, because at that time in my life, I thought I had to compete with people, not realizing that I could just still do my own thing and just do my thing. And so I just put the flute down, and I rarely picked it back up. But 7 years ago, I learned how to play bass guitar, which I absolutely love. Oh my gosh, it's like my favorite instrument. Just the the resonance of that instrument is so incredible. And I feel like that's the instrument I really was meant to play, rather than flute. But it's so fun. And so what I was going to say here is that, I don't know how old you are, but here's the thing: is a lot of people say, I wanna, but they don't do. And so you're like, I want to learn how to play trombone, so you're learning. The dulcimer, you want to learn how to play it, so you're playing it. And so, more power to you. That's fantastic. I would encourage anybody out there who has I know this woman who's told me for like 10 years, I want to learn how to play violin. Well, just think, if she had started playing violin 10 years ago, when she was wanting to, how much better she'd be by now, and how much more fun she'd be having by now. So that's awesome. You're doing that, putting yourself out there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm 53, and I figured, it's not about trying to make a hit record. It's really not even about being a performer in front of people, although I wouldn't discount that down the road a little bit. I mean, I've done a little bit of that, nothing extended at all, but it's what it brings to your life. To be an artist, I think, is really the highest, if you look at Maslow's pyramid, right, and we take care of our security, and a lot of that stuff actually keeps us from working on the art, which is higher up there, right? Our basic needs of, really a real basis is security and safety. And I think that's at the bottom, right? Having your basic needs met. I mean, food and water, obviously, and a place to live, and that ties into what you're helping people with as well. But we hold ourselves back because we don't feel the security in ourselves sometimes to look at the higher echelons of that pyramid.
It's so true. Yeah, it's I think so often people get their minds stuck in I'm not good enough, which is, I think perfectionism is one of the biggest cause of us not doing the things that we want to do, for most people. And it's not important how good you are, because if you're doing something that you absolutely love, you can be horrible at it, and it doesn't matter, because it's how it makes you feel. Like, I'm not the best bass player, but I love playing bass. I'm not the best singer, but I don't know if you know this, but for 2 years in a row, I sang happy birthday on Facebook to every single Facebook friend, which I'm going to do again in 2019. I just made a decision. I'm doing it again because it was so much fun. See, there's a thing. It doesn't matter how good I am or how bad I am. It's that I love it. And so I need to do it because I want to be in my happy place as often as possible. So let perfectionism go. I was a proofreader for 25 years for lawyers. I had to be perfect. So when I quit doing that, I was like, I don't need to be perfect anymore. I actually intentionally make mistakes sometimes just so that I can make myself not get stuck in that perfection zone. It's kind of silly, but it works for me.
I make mistakes without trying, really. Right.
I make mistakes without trying too, but sometimes they're intentional.
Lynda, you've been at the Secret Knock. Can you explain what the Secret Knock is about?
Oh my gosh, it's really fun because explaining Secret Knock it's really a hard task to explain to somebody who's never been there. Secret Knock is an event. It's held twice a year in San Diego, and we have people ranging from the creator, co-founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, to the gentleman who invented the magnetic strip that goes on the back of credit and debit cards, to artists, to singers. We actually had a rap singer this last time. It was kind of cool. We've never had that before. It's just a wide range of people. The founder of UGG Boots is there. We have the creator of Constant Contact, the guy who created Kajabi. So we have a range of people who have invented, created different things, that help us to help us with our daily lives. In addition to having creativity, creative people. We had a woman there this time. Oh man, I wish I had the painting with me right now. It's in my car. But she does these paintings that are made with gems, and she uses a whole bunch of natural elements of the earth and crushes them up and creates these paintings. And the painting that she gave me, which she gave it to me because I'm the organizer of the event. It's $45,000 painting. I'm like, whoa, I have that entrusted in me. Uh-oh. But it's a gathering of like-minded people who really want to make a big difference on this planet. And, we're gathered together for 2 days, brainstorming, masterminding, learning about each other. And what I like about this event, as opposed to other big conferences and things, is that all of our speakers, for example, we had Presidente Vicente Fox of Mexico. He was there this time as well. Just some really, really cool people. But they all sit with us in the audience. You could be sitting next to, the Make-A-Wish Foundation creator and not even know it if you don't go into that part of conversation. And so being surrounded by, these people, for me, has helped me so much to realize that I'm no different than them, because I can sit in a room, I can have a conversation with them, and they don't judge me based on what I have or haven't done. And it's just absolutely incredible. Everybody walks away I can't wait for the next one, because it literally 2 days can change your life.
That's incredible. Nice work. I saw a picture of you with Les Brown. Was he involved? Yeah, he's extremely iconic guy.
Yeah, so that actually was because of Secret Knock. Les Brown spoke at Secret Knock in March. He wasn't able to come back in September this year. He might be back in March. I don't know. It's a secret. I'm not allowed to tell who the speakers are. So that's one thing that's hard, because I'm not allowed to tell who the speakers are until the gentleman, Greg Reed, who actually created the event, until he announces them. So I'm not allowed to tell who's coming, which is kind of exciting for me, because I get to see, but I'm like, I got this secret, But Les Brown was one of our speakers, and because I'm the organizer of the event, Les actually reached out to me, and he said, Lynda, I want to make sure that you spend some time with me, because you are a servant, you're a servant of others. So I want to make sure I spend some time with you and, help you to learn how to leverage my name. And I was like, whoa, that is so cool. Do you think I took advantage of that? Heck yeah, I sure did. So I spent 2 hours with him, And he just kept asking me question after question after question. And at the end, he is funny because he pointed at my phone. He goes, "Is that thing turned on?" I go, "No, but it will be right now." So I turned on my recorder, and he's like, "Make sure you get this. Turn your do not disturb on. We don't want to be disturbed." And like, it was like, okay. And so then all of a sudden, he just rattled off my signature speech for me to use based on what we had talked about for 2 hours. Absolutely incredible, man. It's just what an opportunity to be able to sit with someone like that. And that was because of the power of Secret Knock.
It's really phenomenal. I love the fact that it's in San Diego. I lived in San Diego for 7 years back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
And it's just a beautiful, beautiful city. And it's near Mexico, which is cool. You mentioned Vicente Fox. We share the same first name. I'm sure he's very excited about that.
Right.
And actually, one of the comments that Stephen put up was from a lady that said "Hola," so that's interesting. I wonder where that is. What was her first name? She said "Hola."
I'm just looking for a comment. There we are.
Abigail. Where are you from, Abigail? You live in the States?
Oh, she's from San Diego.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's part of one of my masterminds that I lead. So
okay.
That's cool. Hi, Abigail. I can't see who's there. I can't see any of the comments Stephen's putting on because I'm on my phone right now.
I see.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I have no idea who's there.
Chuck just made it. Chuck Trice. Hey, Chuck. Chuck is actually from Colorado, like I am. We haven't met in person yet, but hey, Chuck. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, what part of Colorado are you in, Vincent?
I'm in Fort Collins. It's,
okay.
50 miles north of Denver.
So my brother lived in Colorado Springs for several years, and I'll just tell you guys a really quick story. There's this place near Colorado Springs called, first there's Garden of the Gods, which you need to go check out. But better yet, there's this place called Cripple Creek, and they have gambling there. Well, you know, Colorado's not really like a gambling state, but they have gambling there at Cripple Creek. So we went in there and I started gambling. I think I was putting in 5 cents at a time or something. Like, I'm a big gambler. Whoop, whoop. So playing one of those penny machines, and all of a sudden the machine got stuck on winning. And because I went to one of these bonus rounds, and it just would not stop winning. It kept on filling up the whole screen. I won hundreds of dollars off of a 5 cent bet. That's my Cripple Creek story. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Chuck is saying he's in Western Colorado in Montrose. And I'm going to read the comments because you can't see them, Lynda. I've forgotten. I listened to Les Brown tapes. It's good stuff. And Catherine is saying, "Hey, Lynda, I share your love of the bass. It's my favorite too. I did get one and tried to learn it a long time ago." And,
pick it back up. If you liked it, pick it back up.
Right. Okay. And a reply from Abigail to Vincent's question. I was born in Mexico, but I live in San Diego since 1981, and follows Lynda Sunshine West.
Nice. Yes. Yeah, San Diego's great. Some of the best times I've had have been in Mexico. And I actually, when I lived in San Diego, I worked at a window blind manufacturing company, and I was sort of a liaison between the factory and the office, and the gentlemen that worked in one of the areas were all born in Mexico. So I got pretty good at my Spanish, not as conversational as I wish I could, but it's just an incredible language. I love it so much. You know, the words that they use when you compare them to English, they're so much more hip and so much more suave, you know, the whole language. Me gusta mucho hablar español, pero this is for Abigail. She may speak Spanish. Me gusta mucho hablar español, pero hay muchos idiomas que no entiendo, entonces una conversación es difícil por mí hablar. Gracias.
For those of us who don't speak Spanish, Vincent, could you please translate? I mean, we catch the odd word, but
I was saying I love to speak Spanish, but there are many words that I'm not familiar with, so it makes it difficult in a conversation. If you miss a word in a conversation, it kind of throws the whole thing a bit in disarray. So it's necessary to speak slowly. But it's really funny. I want to tell you, my first name is Vincent. Vicente in Spanish, and one of the most iconic singers ever in Mexico is Vicente Fernandez. He's born on a ranch, and he has just a phenomenal voice. And so when I was spending time in Mexico, when I would meet people, I would say, me llamo is I am called, or my name is. I said, me llamo Vicente. And then I would pause and I would say, Vicente Fernandez. And it was just this instant connection, because first they were a bit surprised that I knew who he was. I had like a number of his CDs. And then they would get excited that I knew who he was. And then I would sing just a line from one of his songs and so forth. But he's an incredible performer. So yeah, it's nice sharing a name, not only with Vicente Fox, but Vicente Fernandez. So yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I wanted to bring up a great point of what you just said there. You might not realize what you were just saying, as far as like in my mind, of course, but you know, connections, right? You found a way to immediately connect with people by sharing that. And so in a matter of seconds, you formed a bond with the people, the culture. And I know that so often that this is my understanding, is people of different cultures, you know, different languages, that they love it when somebody at least tries to speak their language. So I usually will learn, you know, maybe like one phrase in different languages, just so that I can try it and say it, and they just are appreciative that you're even trying to speak their language. So I'll share with my Filipino friends out there one phrase that I know, because they always laugh every time I say this, and that is mabaho na kilikili mo. That means your underarms stink.
You've learned the most useful phrases, Lynda.
Yeah, I know.
But it's great conversation starters. Yeah, I think I agree. When you actually do take the time to learn the language and be able to try and understand what's going on, but better still to actually speak it, people do appreciate it. And Abigail is just saying that your Spanish is great, Vincent.
Gracias. Necesito practicar más. I need to practice more.
You can practice on us. We don't know what you're saying, though. Well, it's interesting that I grew up in Chula Vista, which is literally about 4 or 5 miles north of the Mexico border. I took Spanish for 2 years, and you know, I've never spoken conversationally. I never got into conversational Spanish, and it really makes a difference, because I'm very awkward with my Spanish speaking. I can understand, you know, pick up words here and there and kind of formulate the sentence that they're saying. But, you know, living here, you would think that I would have been just immersed in it, because we are right next to the border, you know. But then when you go down on the other side of the border, a lot of them speak English, so there's really no need to learn something different. But I don't want to say I wish I had, because I think I learned enough. But I should probably take some time to learn conversational Spanish since I'm here.
It's
and then
really
when the white girl
fun.
speaks Spanish, it's kind of fun, because everybody's like, she understands what we're saying.
I mean, I'm learning German, and that comes in useful when Angelica and I actually visit Germany. I can't actually take part. I wouldn't take part in total conversation. I'll speak to Angelica, and I can understand German television and I can read the newspapers. But the problem is being fluent and listening fluent. They're two different things. And it's unless if you want to learn a language, you need to immerse yourself, don't you? You need to go and live there. Yeah. So live in Germany or France or Mexico or wherever it happens to be for a period of time and speak the language on a daily basis.
Yeah, you know, this goes back maybe 15 years now, but I visited my friend David, his wife's family in Puebla, Mexico, which is about 70 miles east of Mexico City, and it was all English the whole time. They were bilingual, but they knew that I wanted to have that immersion, and so, you know, for 10 days it was all Spanish, like the whole time. And I remember I dreamt once in Spanish, and that was really, really cool. I had a dream where we were speaking Spanish, and about that same time I had a moment, and this was surreal. I forgot my English for like 10 seconds. It was gone. And it was the coolest experience. And I was, because the way that I would kind of work my Spanish at that level, and the level I'm at now, is to kind of think in English and then transpose it into Spanish. So I went to think about what I wanted to say in English, and there was nothing there.
Huh.
And I was just incredulous, and it was really fun, actually. And then it came back, and I explained what had happened, and I thought that was really, really fun. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you say something in Spanish, or were you just were lost for words completely?
I was lost at words in English, and so then I went into the Spanish and explained what happened. I said, "Olvidé mi inglés." I forgot my English. I was like, wow, that's really cool.
That's awesome.
And Deidre is saying, I feel that way about people that talk English when they come from another culture, because the number of people who got English as a second language, I know people who have English as a second language and their pronunciation is far better than mine. Yeah, because
I know some of those people.
they've learned perfect English, as opposed to the colloquial English that we all grew up with. I mean, if you're in a different state or if you're in a different country, you'll speak English, but not necessarily the same dialect. And there will be phrases in each area which have different meanings. Fascinating area. Yeah.
That's so true. Like even in the United States, from California all the way to New York, to the southern tips and the northern tips, is we speak somewhat different languages as well. It's cultural, right? So based on where you are is kind of the wording that people use. So sometimes I would hear somebody in New York say something, I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that thing is that they're talking about, because I've never heard that phrase before, because it's more like cultural into where they live. And then you get into New York and you've got all these different boroughs and they're like all totally different from each other. It's like it's totally different. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Totally amazing. Now, we didn't actually put an agenda together today because things have been so rushed, because Lynda and I are preparing for 5 days live, October 1st through 5th. And if I can just bring up a photograph of that, I've got to sign in with Facebook first. And it is going to be quite an experience. I'll just bring up the photo. And there we have it on screen. 5 days live is October 1st through 5th. And Lynda and I are back again with our friends, Brigitte Limbanda, Lottie Hearn. Annie Moore is with us as well. And also, of course, David Burrows and Cheryl Piper and RJ Redden. So October 1 through 5, 10 a.m. Eastern each day, we'll be talking about different topics which will help you improve your live broadcasts. So watch out for announcements of that between now and the 1st of October. We're showing you this for the first time. It's the first time it's ever been seen on live video. There we are. Awesome. Right. Okay. It is. I mean, we've got sort of a team spirit going. We did it first time round, Vincent. We did it in August, and we did it over the 5 days. And we just, first of all, everybody who took part had a blast. But also, we had so much feedback, and we had so much live interaction that we don't get it. It was as if you don't get that interaction on your own show. But as soon as we were together as a team and working as a team, we got some fantastic interaction on all the shows.
It was really great. Looking forward to the next one.
And Deidre has commented again and said, what I don't appreciate is when people try doing Australian slang. Like, good day, mate. Well, okay, just to explain that we say hello to Jason. It is late in Australia at the moment because we're talking the other side of the world.
16 hours.
Oh yeah, thank you, Deidre, for joining us, and we understand what you're saying.
But I can't help it, Deidre. I'm sorry. I just got to do it. I don't know. There's something about it. I just love the Australian accent. I love it so much that in my mind, I'm emulating it. But I realize when it comes out of my mouth, it doesn't sound the same. But I just love the word, g'day, mate. I can't help it. It's like when I'm talking to my Australian friends. But so I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Have you been an Australian person, Lynda?
I have. I was, oh my gosh, very fortunate that my kids, when they were in band, because they also played, my son played trombone and my daughter played violin as well as flute. But when they were in band, their band was one of the many bands that were selected to be part of the 2000 Sydney Olympic opening ceremonies.
Wow.
And I went as a chaperone, and so we had to raise a lot of money. I think we had to raise about $10,000, and in 2000, $10,000 is a lot of money anyway. Yeah. But in 2000, that was a lot more. So we raised it with selling candy bars. So we sold candy bars, $10,000 worth of candy bars in 2 years is what we did. But it was fantastic. We were in Sydney, Australia. We were there for 14 days. Our band, the bands, all were housed at a college campus called Bathurst, which is up in the Blue Mountains, and it was an incredible trip. I just loved it, and I didn't even know what beetroot was until I got to Australia. So they use beets on their McDonald's. So you go into McDonald's, and the McDonald's there, at least at that time, had beetroot on it. It was like kind of the thing. And I was like, what is this thing in there?
What is that? What is beetroot?
It's beets. Do you know what that is, Stephen? Beetroot?
Beetroot, yes. It's a vegetable, grows in the ground. It's purple in color.
Oh, yeah.
And it will stain everything it touches, but it's delicious.
Well, that's interesting because Fort Collins, this region right here, at one time, I don't know the exact years, it might have been around the turn of the century, was the #1 beet area in the nation. In
really?
The United States. Yep. Sugar beets. But yeah, I'm a huge beet fan. I have them actually 4 times a week I will eat beets.
Well, try it on your hamburger. Apparently it's very tasty.
I imagine it would be. I've started putting it in my salad, and if I have other vegetables, I kind of mix it in sort of to get that flavor because it's so good. And then actually you can just drink the juice, and it's incredible. It's very potent. You can kind of dilute it a little bit. So that's my little beet story. Yeah.
Well, while I was there also, they had us try, they welcomed us to try Vegemite. And you know that song,
I do.
The song remember Men at Work, they had that song.
Sure do. It's a great song.
Down Under, right? And they always said a Vegemite sandwich. Right. I always thought they said a bite of my sandwich. I had no idea that they were saying Vegemite sandwich. So I had an opportunity to try Vegemite once. It's an acquired taste, and I haven't acquired it. But I love Australia. So amazing.
I love Vegemite. I mean, I've been fortunate to travel to Australia 7 or 8 times through Melbourne and Sydney, and all down the east coast. But Vegemite it's Vegemite and meat pie. Did you try a meat pie while you were there?
No.
No. Okay, don't have to. Meat pies are a delicacy as well, as Deidre will confirm. And Deidre is telling us how to have beets. Vincent, you can have it on a burger. You will love the burgers even more. So there's a mixture of vegetarian and meat eating.
We're actually having burgers for dinner tonight. So there's the and we have beets here. So there's the opportunity right there.
There you go.
And Catherine is saying, I'd love to have beets prepared properly. I've only ever had ones that tasted like dirt, garden dirt. Yeah, okay.
You got to clean them off. You got to clean them off first.
Well, I must admit, my beets are canned beets, so I haven't really done them from scratch, but they do sell them here. They do sell them here.
I love it.
And Deidre is saying Vegemite is an acquired taste. I like Vegemite now and then. Yeah, it's not something you'd have every day. We've got an equivalent in the UK, which is Marmite. And you either
called?
like Marmite. Sorry?
What is it called?
Marmite?
Yeah. You've never heard of it?
No.
You haven't lived. You really haven't lived.
Well, it wasn't in a song.
I'll track and see if it's in song lyrics. Marmite is sort of the English equivalent of the Australian Vegemite, and you either like it or you don't, and the nation is divided. And generally speaking, you have it on toast. But we'll come to that in a future show. I just want to catch up with the comments. And meat pies in Australia, which are famous worldwide, and Deidre's just mentioned Balfour's meat pies. And how we've gone from speaking Spanish to Vegemite, only we know.
Well,
it was the whole accent thing. It was the saying that Good
Right.
day, mate.
And there was a comment about the Scottish accent, and I agree. There's the Scottish accent is unbelievable. The Irish accent, I can't really understand. There's a talk show in the UK that I've started watching online because he's such a good host. I don't know that there's the equivalent in the US of anybody of that level. His name is Graham Norton.
Oh wow, he's Irish.
He's Irish, and he has a show. I think it's broadcast out of the London area, is my guess.
Okay, yeah.
And he has everybody on the couch. It's sort of like live streaming where you have the ability to have a conversation with a group of people. Because in the US, typically their talk shows, you'll have a guest on, they'll chat, and then they'll move over. The next guest will come on. But he has a way of having everybody come on in the beginning, and he's able to really kind of get them all involved, and it's quite incredible. So there have been some guests on that I've watched lately that are from Ireland, and actually some of the guests from like actors from the US are kind of sitting there going, I can't understand what's being said here. The Irish accent is very intense. Scottish accent I can understand, and there's nothing like the Scottish accent. That's got to be the coolest accent to listen to.
Yeah, I love both of those. I have a friend who's Irish, and every once in a while I do need to ask her to repeat. She's been in the States for decades, and but I love listening to her and some of her quips that she comes up with. It's just fun to hear them in the accent. Like I can say the same exact thing, and it just doesn't sound as cool as when she says it.
Mm-hmm. Johnny Carson, boy, there, and you can't see that, Lynda, because you're on your phone, but Catherine mentioned it was like the old Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Yeah, he was quite brilliant, and that's actually a word I learned from the UK. You guys use the word brilliant a lot. That's absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it is brilliant.
Yeah, and that's not a phrase that we use over here in that context, but it really works.
Right.
It really works.
A question from Catherine: is Marmite like marmalade? No, they have nothing in common. Marmalade is
the liquid equivalent.
All right, try to catch up with the comments. Billy Connolly
is
Scottish.
Is Marmite yeast also just like Vegemite?
Billy Connolly, right? It is. I just recently got watching Billy actually on that same show, the comedian Billy Connolly. Yeah, I can mostly understand what's being said in Scottish. There's just a great, I don't know, it's just fascinating. We have this, live streaming where we can be anywhere in the world and connect with people and kind of get some sense of them as people and who they are from being able to see and hear in a way that you really can't do through an email or anything like that. In the US, everything is great, Catherine is saying, and amazing as opposed to brilliant. That's a really, really good point. And the word amazing is really overused quite a bit. Amazing and awesome.
Oh my God, those are my two words. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are great words. I guess that's why they're used so much, is because there's a connotation there of just being amazing. It's a great word.
Well, I remember, I think it was in the 80s, like the early 80s, my sister used to say this word, and I think it became a buzzword, and it was tubular. Everything was tubular. Yeah, it was the phrase.
Yeah.
But that one, that came in and died, right? It never stuck around. But awesome and amazing, they're still here to stay.
They're still here. And there was an album by Mike Oldfield, quite iconic album called Tubular
Bells. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And that was in fact, I've been listening to that lately because it's so inspiring, because he played, well, with the exception of a couple instruments, he played every instrument on that album. So
that's fantastic.
That's his story is quite a story, because that's basically, it was Richard Branson who produced that record.
Yes.
Oh, really?
That the money that he made from that one record founded the Branson Empire.
Yes.
Whoa.
So you've got a situation where Richard Branson is now a multi-billionaire.
Yes.
And Mike Oldfield is happy, but he's not a billionaire.
Yeah. And it was all by chance, because Mike Oldfield had that ready to go, basically, and they were making The Exorcist, the movie The Exorcist, with Lynda Blair, like a very iconic movie, and they had the soundtrack picked out, and then they decided, that's not what we want. It's not going to work. And the person kind of deciding that music, it wasn't Richard at that point, He was involved later in the process, but they just had they were in the what Richard was founding as far as the music empire, Virgin Records, I believe, and Tubular Bells just happened to be sitting on this like table on top, and they said, "Oh, what's this?" And they put it on. They're like, "That's what we want. That's what we want." And even though it's a very small piece in the movie, his music, that music is really typified of The Exorcist. When you think of The Exorcist music, that's what you think of. And
it's iconic. For sure.
Yeah. So it's kind of like putting yourself out there, and a lot of what happens as far as those success stories, there's really an element of chance and luck, if you will. You have to produce and make your thing and put it out there, and have it be quality, obviously. But there's always this element of some of the most successful stories in certain businesses just happen to be, there's an element of it just happened that way. It was like timing, and so call it what you will, fate.
Yeah, and it's interesting is that just came to mind. Music, how music, it really does shape us. Like, for example, there's a movie called Amityville Horror. I don't know if you ever saw the original one with
the original one, yes.
Yeah, the original one.
Yeah.
Well, so there's that song that piece that they play throughout that movie, and I've seen that movie, I don't know, 15 times or something. Then all of a sudden, one time, I was in my room working, and my husband was in the living room watching Amityville Horror. There was something that came over me that I was like, turn it off. I can't listen to that anymore, ever again. And literally, there's something about that music that just, like, it dug into me, and it brought over some like horrific emotion to me that I could not listen. I still can't listen to it. I can't listen to it. But then when you hear like da-na, 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 Jaws, like there's like an emotion. So music really, and by the way, Richard Dreyfuss was at Secret Knock this last time.
Okay.
And so he was there, he spoke, and not only that, he was supposed to be there for like 3 or 4 hours. He stayed the whole entire 2 days because he was having a blast meeting some amazing people. But the music really, if there's something emotional going on with you when you hear a piece of music, that emotion will be the emotion that you will have with that piece of music. And it's because our sensory, music, it plays a huge part in our sensory. And music is, I think, if I'm correct, music is the only language that we all share and can all understand the same.
It's true. It's really true. I'm learning these different instruments, and again, I've been playing harmonica. I won't play it now, but keep that nearby.
It's in your pocket at all times, right?
Yeah. A riff where you have kind of a segment of notes that go together, and there's something very emotional about that. So even though I'm kind of playing, you just kind of play what you feel, whether it's the trombone or the mountain dulcimer. There's really something that connects. There's a feeling going on, and that definitely translates because inside we all share those emotional elements in us, and it's great. It's great. And kind of alluding back to what we were talking about at the start of this talk, where whether you're in your 50s like I am, or whether you're in your 90s or what have you, to bring that element of it where you're not just a passive listener, which is awesome. I mean, we need people to listen to music, but to have music in your life, it really brings a really deep element to your life. About 5 years ago, I was working at a group home with some individuals, and one of them in a wheelchair, not able to learn a guitar or a flute, something like that. We got him chimes. Beautiful set of chimes. There may be 40 chimes of different length, and you can take his hand and gently move them across the chimes, and he's creating music. The two gentlemen in the house now where I am, I hooked them up with a music therapist. She's actually coming today for the 3rd time, and spends an hour with them, just getting into rhythm and beat, and they both want to eventually learn guitar. So it's true. It's very it's a real connector. And back to the Vicente Fernandez story that I mentioned before, the fact that I was had an interest and had some knowledge of one of their iconic singers who I don't think there are many people in the U.S. who are not of Mexican descent who are familiar with who he is, but making that conscious effort to kind of connect with people that way was very meaningful.
That's fantastic. I love that. And you're using the therapy, music therapy is good for everybody, but then if you have people who are maybe struggling with things in their life or whatever, music can really, bring you into a place. And music is so powerful that if you're happy, you can play a sad song and become sad, because of the song. And if you're sad, you can play happy, happy songs, and eventually it'll lift you up out of the doldrums and into a happy state of mind, But it really is, I think it's a modality that can help, turn us on and off quickly if we're willing to allow ourselves to tap into that emotion, whatever it is that we're looking for.
Absolutely. And actually, I will show you one instrument. I just keep this nearby. But can you put that comment back up, Stephen, please, that you just put up about the MMMD? Catherine, I worked in group homes with MMMD, and that's a different acronym than I'm familiar with. I'm assuming the last letter stands for disabilities, individuals with disabilities, and wish I'd heard the idea to use chimes. Now that's brilliant. And here's another one. This is a singing bowl. And it's really relaxing, There's a gentleman that I'm doing respite for, and I'll put this in his hand, and now he'll actually take it without my prodding, and he'll just tap it, and this reverberates for a really long time, and it just kind of puts out this really nice sense. But he is making music. If he picks this up and he taps that, he is making a sound. He's making a vibration. He's making music. And you can also do a thing which is a little bit more involved, but kind of going around, and then it makes the sound. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to make music, and it can be as complex as a classical piano piece, or it can be as simple as chimes or a sound bowl, singing bowl.
That's cool. So if you put water in it, it changes the pitch?
Oh, in the singing bowl? I've never tried that, actually. I've never tried that.
Wow.
I don't know. I imagine that it would.
Yeah, just like when you play bottles, right? And you put different levels of water inside the bottle. And I don't know if you guys ever did that. I can blow on the bottle and make sounds and stuff. I love doing that because I just assumed everybody could do that, but not everybody can. So it's kind of fun to do it. Like if you're drinking a beer and you're like, ooh.
Right. It's like, boy, you're getting to the bottom that you're drinking that pretty fast. Well, I want to get the lower notes. I'm looking for the lower notes. That's all it is. I'm just looking for the lower notes. It's like, oh, you have 3 beers going at once. Well, I've got different notes going. That's what it is.
That's so funny.
Table covered with beer.
Right.
Right, just to catch up with the comments. Deirdre is saying some singing bowls are annoying, but this one you are using, Vincent, is great. So there you are. And Deirdre also said meditation music is wonderful too.
Mm-hmm.
And Patty is saying yes, and crystal bowls are similar. Music saved my life in my 20s. And I think we just want to say thank you to everybody who's commenting, because you're actually helping the show along at a brisk pace and giving us food for thought and things to talk about. So thank you to everybody who's watching and commenting. And Catherine is saying all you need is the first 2 notes of Jaws to instantly recognize it. When we talk about recognize a chord, but Catherine's saying just the first 2 notes and we're there, we're back. Yes.
Can you imagine composing a piece of music that is recognizable worldwide by the first 2 notes? I mean, that he made his mama proud there,
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, remember that TV show? There was one called Name That Tune, way back in the 70s or 80s, where you say they would give you like a little hint. Then you would say, I can name that tune in 5 notes. And the other person would say, I can name it in 4. And sometimes they got down to 1 note, and so there are some where like one note can really do it. It's amazing how you just have music, right? It's just music is so incredible. I love it. My sister just got nominated for she sent me an email this morning. She got nominated for some music award. And she was a band director for 30 something years and recently retired. And they nominated her for some kind of, I don't even remember what it is. I mean, I literally just saw it before we came on here, but for some kind of music award. So that's so cool. I'm really proud of her. That's the same sister who was 8 years ahead of me, who I was like, I'll never be as good as her. So I didn't move on with music. But she's just done some really amazing work.
Congratulations.
I'll tell her.
Right. And a shout out from Patty to Self Lynda. Lynda Sunshine West, Living TV rocks. And that's another word that's used, isn't it? Awesome. Rocks.
That's I use rocks all the time. Genre. You rock. I say that a lot. Right. And I realize, it's interesting for me because I've gone through so many gyrations of my life, and I lived most of my life as a people pleaser, not wanting to say things that would, upset people. And I realized that just recently, I'm 55. So at 51, I really started my personal growth journey. And part of that journey has been realizing that I just need to be me. And that those who don't like me, that's okay. And those who do like me will like me because I'm me. I spent so much of my time being someone I wasn't because I didn't want to make anybody not like me or be pissed off at me or think I'm really weird. But you know what? The fact of the matter is that I am weird. And it's okay. I say crazy things sometimes. And I don't apologize for them because it's how I feel. It's like who I am. And so some people might piss off, and it's not that I don't care, because I do care. It's just I don't let it affect me anymore. I used to let what others thought of me affect me so much, and now I'm just like, it's okay. It's okay. Maybe eventually they'll like me. I don't know.
I'll bet if you go back in history and look at the people that have really changed, I mean, going back to Leonardo da Vinci or, the great artists, the great musicians, they could probably all be classified as weird. If you ask them, they would weird.
Well, thanks for putting me in that category.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the quote from now on, Lynda.
There we go. I'm weird. Yeah. Well, Einstein, right? He had all that crazy hair. Like people say, like he didn't even know how to brush his hair. Like that was like something that people say. Like he didn't know how to brush his hair, and he looked so crazy and weird in the minds of others. And I often think, this might kind of sound weird, but sometimes I think, really, who's to say that somebody who has, like say people with autism, we don't understand, those of us who don't have it, or those of us who don't live with it, don't really understand what autism is. But what if people with autism were really the ones who were on the ball, and they were really the ones that we need to emulate because they got it all figured out, and we don't understand it, so we think it's not right. And what if we're just the average normal, and then they're like the above average, way above normal?
Yeah.
But we don't understand it, so we say there's something wrong with them. Like I disagree with that. I think that they're brilliant, and that we need to see them for the brilliance that they have.
And while we're on that the spectrum of autism for a moment, no pun intended. In Fort Collins, there's a university called Colorado State University, really well known as a great research university. And one of the professors here is Temple Grandin, if you're familiar with Professor Temple
I've heard the name.
They made a movie of her, actually, of her life by Claire Danes, played her. And she's the most successful, I mean, pretty much any way you would describe successful person with autism, really, in the history of autism. And she has changed the way that the places that deal with cows and how they get turned into meat that we find in the supermarket. They're treated much more humanely, and there's a lot less loss because they don't freak out because they're scared of different things as they kind of go toward their fate and so forth. But she is so tuned in to how animals think because of her autism that she basically rewrote the book literally on how to build those facilities. So about
Mm.
half the facilities in the world now follow her model. And she's a public speaker. I was part of an interview with her once, and she's incredible. So, but talking about autism, I mean, she has a way, it's a good example where she has a way of looking at the world that we don't really recognize until she shows us that, hey, here's a better way to look at things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's I don't know a lot about autism, but I just, as my own observation, it was like, well, what if they are the ones who really are the higher beings, and we're not understanding of them, and that's why we think that there's something wrong with them, or like society as a whole, it's like, what's wrong with them? And maybe it's not that there's something wrong with them. Maybe there's something wrong with us.
Yeah. And it is encouraging if you go back in time. People with disabilities in general, and autism as well. There's a lot more opportunities for them, even if you go back 20 years, how people were institutionalized and marginalized. So yeah, part of my job now is and happily to help promote people with disabilities to lead, lives of possibilities. And they can definitely teach us a lot. So it's encouraging. They have a lot of opportunities these days, especially in this town of Fort Collins. It's astonishing how busy the gentlemen, the individuals that I work with, how busy they are doing programs and movie night and restaurant night and going on trips to Oregon and going on skiing trips and all of those things. And, it makes us more human to be able to, bring them into the fold of being productive.
So true. Now, I've been hearing a phrase recently that I like, because you mentioned people with disabilities, but is people with other abilities, instead of disabilities. And and I like that phrasing because it helps me to see that, yes, they do have, it's nothing that's stopping them because they have other abilities that they tap into.
Yeah. And I know we're kind of getting to the top of the hour. While we were talking about folks with disabilities, the thing that's really astonishing to me, and I think it's really helpful for everybody to really acknowledge, is how much effort they put into their lives as a whole. I'm generalizing here, but things that we do without thinking about, the amount of effort that they put into communication, to certain mobility things. It's inspiring, and I think that when we understand the amount of effort that they put into their lives, it definitely makes us a better human, and makes us want to kind of be a part of that process. So definitely. It's nice seeing the comments too, people that are tapping into what's being said. It's really encouraging as well. Yeah.
Indeed. It's been a fascinating hour, and we've been joined by some good friends and some new people, and it's been and yes, Vincent Burkardt, there you are. Now, I hopefully Lynda's reading my mind here, but my question, Vincent, would you come back and join us on another Thursday?
Oh, I'd love to. This is really fun. Awesome. I want to learn more about Lynda. I actually, I signed up for a meeting with you, a video conference with you before our call.
Oh, cool.
Here. Yeah. I want to learn more about what you do and so forth. So yes, absolutely. I would really appreciate that. Appreciate all the comments of everybody as well.
That'll be fun. And if you don't mind, Stephen, I'd like to put that out, is I do offer a 30-minute session with me, so we can either get to know each other, find out how we can work together, or it's just like maybe, because I help people break through fears, which is something I'm really, really good at. And so like maybe you have some fears that are holding you back from doing what you want to do, living the life that you actually want to live. So go ahead and go to livinglive.tv/30. And again, that's livinglive.tv/30. Go ahead and make an appointment with me. Let's get on a call. It's done via Zoom. And the reason I do that, somebody was like, I don't want to do it on video. I'm like, you know what? So that's why you're going to do it on video, because a lot of people are scared to be on video. And I help people through their fears. So, but we hop up on video because we can see each other's facial reactions, and we can really make a better connection by being on video. So go ahead and make an appointment, and let's meet up.
And brilliant. Catherine is saying the three of us have a calm, gentle quality, which we do when we're live and in real life too. So to everybody who's joined us, I'll hand over to Lynda. And Lynda, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Well, you know, here's the thing. In life, we have limited amount of time. We don't know when our last day is. This show is called Just Do It because Stephen and I highly believe in, you know, putting yourself out there and doing the things that you want to do. When my mother was on her deathbed, she had so many regrets. And I decided in that moment that I was going to live every single moment of my life doing what I want to do while I'm here. And I made that conscious effort, and that's exactly what's happening. So if there's some things in your life that you want to do, whether it's learning to play an instrument, maybe it's learning to, you know, speak a different language, maybe it's learning to draw, whatever it is that you want to do, I highly recommend that you just do it. You might not do it well, but that's okay. It's not about doing it well, doing it perfectly. It's about just doing the things that you want to do so that you can live the life you want to live. And you get to the very last of your days and you say, I did everything I wanted to do. So with that, we will see you guys next Thursday, same time and same bat channel.
Thank you guys. It's been fun.
Thank you
for being here.
Goodbye.